afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the information session for the 2024 Summer Abroad program in Siena, Italy. So to get started, we wish to acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. And today, this meeting place is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So I'll start with some brief introductions. So my name is Genevieve Steidman, and I'm one of the program coordinators at the Summer Abroad office. Italy is one of the programs that I manage, so I will be your point of contact all along the way, whether you're meeting with me ahead of your application or once you're admitted. I will be the staff person who helps you along the way. I also have with us today, from the Summer Abroad office, I have our program manager, Karen Sampson, and Wendy Shern, another program coordinator with us, and they will be handling the Q&A on the back end. So if you do have questions as we go along, please feel free to put them into the Q&A. And then keep an eye on the Q&A because as they're answering questions, the answered questions will appear there. So keep that open, keep an eye on it, because you will see a lot of information coming through the Q&A. We're also thrilled to have our 5 Italy instructors with us today. So we have Anne Urbancic, Paolo Granata, Akwasi Owusu Bempa, Elizabeth Legge, and Michael Lettieri with us. And they'll be speaking pretty soon in detail about the courses that we're offering there. We also have a former student with us. So she's now a work study student in our department. She loved the program so much that she works with us now. Her name is Tiana Lawton, and she'll be speaking towards the end of the session about her experience in the Italy program last year. So we'll talk a little bit about Summer Abroad, then we'll get into some of the details about the Italy program. As I mentioned, our course instructors and on-site coordinator will speak as well. Sorry, I didn't introduce our on-site coordinator. We also have Vincenzo or Nini Di Pietro with us. He runs the program on the ground in Italy, so you will get to know him very well as part of the program, and he'll be speaking about his role as well a little bit later. So once we hear from our instructors, we'll move on to costs and financial aid. We'll talk about how to apply, the next steps, and student experience. And as I mentioned, please put your questions in the Q&A. There are no silly questions. I guarantee you, if you have a question, many of your colleagues have them as well. So feel free to get them in there, and Karen and Wendy will work on answering those in the Q&A as we go along. So the session is being recorded, and it will be available on our website within a couple of days, so early next week. So feel free to review it, share it with your friends. Your family might want to have a look at it. That will be available for you very shortly. So let's talk a little bit about what is Summer Abroad generally. So Summer Abroad lets you earn U of T credits in 3 to 4 weeks during the summer session. And you earn a full Y credit, which normally would take you a whole year or 8 months to complete. Here you do it in 3 to 4 weeks during the summer. And it's not a transfer credit. So unlike an exchange, where you are studying at another university, here you're doing a U of T course. So it's a regular credit. It shows on your record. The grade will show and count towards your CGPA, and you can use it to fulfill program breadth or distribution requirements. In the Italy program, all the courses are taught by U of T faculty. And what sets us apart from some exchanges as well is that you have access to on-site non-academic support. So we have an on-site coordinator, as well as several on-site assistants to help you with all the kinds of things that come up when you're studying abroad. They'll help you get acclimatized. They will help show you around, help with any kind of urgent matters, if you need to see a doctor or you lose your passport. So you have that on-site support built into the program as well. We always keep our class sizes small, so generally between 22 and a maximum of 30 students, which allows you to work really closely with your professors and the other students in the class. Of course, you get to experience what you learn. So our courses are inspired by and completely built around the location. There are field trips incorporated into the course. Sorry that there's an error there. It shouldn't say virtual field trips. There are actual field trips incorporated into the course. So it's a true experiential learning experience where it's very hands-on. You're not just in the lecture hall, you're out experiencing what you're learning. We also organize a pre-departure orientation to get you ready for your experience. And we have additional safety abroad resources available for you both before and during your summer abroad. So there are huge benefits to doing a summer abroad program. And we get this information from students that we talk to after they've done a program. So first of all, the academic benefits. You're doing a full Y course and it's condensed into 4 weeks of study, which means it's a very immersive and intensive academic experience. But everyone in the course is only focused on that one course. You're only doing the one course at a time. So it's a unique academic experience for you in that it allows you to really focus and be immersed in the material. And of course, the field trips that connect you to what you're learning in class. Personal development, we have so many students who come back to us and say they've made lifelong friends in the Italy program. All of our profs can attest to that. You're really working closely with the people in your class and also getting to know other people who may not be in your class, but that you're in residence with. It's a wonderful shared experience and a real opportunity to bond with new people and meet new people that you might not otherwise meet on campus. And of course, gaining independence, gaining confidence as you learn to travel, learn to overcome problems that arise, and gaining communication and presentation skills too. For many students, this may be their first time that they've taken a small seminar-style class. And so they really feel the benefit of learning to present and learning to communicate their ideas with the group. And of course, professional benefits as well. We have so many students who end up using their professors as a reference later on because they got to know them so well. So building your network of professors and other students and exploring possibilities for graduate school. You may be so inspired that you decide to go back to Siena for graduate school or somewhere else in Italy. Or you can be inspired to explore new career directions. So there are huge benefits that come from doing a summer abroad program. So in order to be eligible, U of T students must be in good academic standing. So if you are currently on probation, you wouldn't be eligible this year for a summer abroad. So as long as you're in good standing and have a minimum CGPA of 1.75 at the time of application. If you're a first-year student, you are still eligible to apply as well, even if you don't have final grades on ACORN yet. You just have to have completed at least one term of study and you can go ahead and apply. So we ask you to check the course descriptions that are on the Italy section of the website for prerequisites. Most of the courses don't have prerequisites. A few have recommended preparation. Some do have prerequisites, so we encourage you to take a look at those. If you don't meet the prerequisites that are stated on the website, feel free to reach out to us. We can put you in contact with the prof. We can talk about other courses that you may have taken that may be relevant. So don't let that deter you. But if you don't meet the prerequisites, just reach out. Students from other North American universities can also apply as a visiting student. So we always have a handful of visiting students. Either they're a friend of someone who's going or they've just heard about the program themselves. They can get in touch with us as well and we can guide them through the process. It's a very straightforward process for them. So I encourage them to reach out to us if they're interested. So a little bit of general information about the program this year. So the dates, it's 4 weeks in August, starting on Friday, August 2nd and going to Saturday, August 31st. And of course, it takes place in Siena, Italy, which is a beautifully preserved medieval town in the heart of Tuscany. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a beautiful, beautiful place to have as your home base for 4 weeks in the summer. It's hosted by our partner, the University of Siena, which dates back to 1240. The program began in 1972, so we celebrated our 50th anniversary a couple of years ago, and we've had around 5,500 students participate in the program since it started. So your classes will be held from Monday to Fridays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. There are also a couple of holiday days in the middle of the program for a little bit of a break. You have the national holiday and the palio, which I'll speak about in a sec. And of course, as I mentioned, field trips are incorporated into the course. These are sometimes outside of class hours, and there are also some overnight trips depending on the course. So you will get a field trip schedule closer to the start of the program. And all the field trips are mandatory. So you need to attend any field trips, even if they're outside of class time. And all classes are also mandatory. So that's a little bit different from on campus. In the summer abroad program, you are expected to attend every class. And it's because it is so condensed. It's a full year credit in only 4 weeks. So missing one class is almost like missing a full week normally. So that's why we make that mandatory. So the program falls at the same time as the historic Palio horse race. I'm not sure if you may have heard of it. You can't talk about Siena without mentioning the Palio in the summer. So it's been going on for centuries. It's a horse race that takes place in the Piazza del Campo. So right in the town square, there's a huge horse race, and the town is divided into contradas. And so they each have their own horse. It's a really exciting and unique kind of cultural experience that you'll get to witness in Siena. There are events leading up to it in the days and weeks ahead of time. The whole town comes out to cheer on their horse. It's a really unique experience. Best thing to do if you just Google it, Google Palio and Siena, and you will see lots of videos online about what that's all about. So our program happens to take place at the same time. So there are a lot of program activities aside from going to class and doing your field trips. So we arrange a walking tour of Siena in the first day of the program, residence orientation, of course. There are welcome get-togethers, a contrada dinner, on-site academic orientation, another welcome reception from the University of Siena, as well as an optional Italian language tutorial in the first couple of days of the program to give you a little bit of Italian language. And there are also non-summer abroad activities that are optional that you would pay for on site and that you would sign up for on site. So examples from previous years have been a trip to see an opera in Verona, cooking classes, wine tasting, horseback riding. These are all things that our wonderful on-site coordinator and his staff organize during the program as extras that you can sign up for. So the accommodations, you are staying in the University of Siena residences, which are older residence buildings. So don't expect the modern amenities that you may have on campus if you've lived in a brand new residence here in Toronto. So all of the accommodation is double rooms. Washrooms are shared by 2 rooms. So you are sharing a washroom with usually 3 or 4 other students in the program. There are shared common kitchen areas that you are welcome to use for preparing light meals or storing food. But definitely be prepared for some differences. As part of the experience of the Italy program is living in the residence that Italian students live in during the year. So for instance, sometimes the Wi-Fi is unreliable. There is no air conditioning and it can get very, very hot in Italy. So be prepared for that. One other thing is that there is a 3 a.m. curfew and there's a 24-hour porter there as well. There is no meal plan, so we ask you to budget roughly $1,200 for meals. These can be purchased at low cost from local student cafeterias called mensas. And as mentioned, you can also prepare some light meals for yourself using the shared kitchen facilities. So just a couple of pictures of the residences. These were taken by probably students who have done the program previously. And here are some pictures of the residence rooms. If you have any questions about the residence and accommodation, when our on-site coordinator, Nini, has his turn to speak, you may want to ask him some questions about the residents if you have any specific concerns about residents' issues. And just a few more pictures of the area that you'll be living in. So how to get to Siena. So we don't have a group flight in that we don't book a set of seats for students. However, we do recommend a flight for students. So once you're admitted, we send everyone the details of a recommended flight, and we would encourage students to book themselves onto that flight, but it's not mandatory for you to do so. So if you are on the recommended flight, we do arrange bus transfer for you from the airport in Rome to Siena and back at the end of the program. So even if you're not on the recommended flight that we give, if you arrive at the same time or before the recommended flight arrives, then you are welcome to join the group for the bus to Siena. And we'll give you details on how to sign up for that as we go along in the process. But if you do the recommended flight, then you know for sure that you'll be able to catch that bus to Siena. If not, you can also get to Siena on your own. There are trains and buses that run there, and we will provide information about that at the pre-departure orientation as well. So we also ask students to set up a social media group, whether it's an Instagram group or a Facebook group, and this allows students to connect with each other ahead of the program. So even if you're not on the recommended flight, or if you are, you can kind of at least connect with students ahead of time and make travel arrangements that way. And as I mentioned, we do have a pre-departure orientation at the end of June, where we will provide further details. So students are responsible for arranging your own visa if necessary, but we do provide supporting documents for you. So if you're a Canadian citizen, you can check the Government of Canada website to see your entry requirements for Italy. International students, you should check with the embassy about your own requirements. So we provide the supporting documentation, and we will also liaise with the Italian consulate here in Toronto to try to ensure that everyone can get their visa appointments by the end of April. So last year was very successful. They were very helpful with our students, and we're really grateful for the relationship that we have with the Italian consulate. So do start looking into your requirements, but then we will also be reaching out to students along the way for assistance with getting their visas on time. Also review the terms and conditions of your own travel health insurance and consider purchasing cancellation insurance for your own flight. Okay, so now I'd like to move on and have our instructors talk about the wonderful courses that they'll be teaching in Italy next summer. So we're going to go in this order. So I will start with Professor Anne Urbancic, who is teaching Italian regional foodways and culture.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind, Genevieve, or you've put the slides up, I'm just going to say slide when you have to change so you'll know. I am so excited about Siena. I've done this program and this course many, many times, and every time I have a wonderful experience, and I think from the evaluations that my students have a wonderful experience. And that's because we have such a great staff there, starting with Nini and his assistants, but also a great support staff here in Toronto. We always enjoy our learning, and we do learn an awful lot. So Siena will change you. Slide, please. You probably know a lot about Italian food, and that's what my course is about, the Italian regional foodways and culture, but not a cooking course. It's an anthropology course. And even though you may know a lot about Italian food, you don't know some of the stories and some of the issues behind it. For example, cappuccino, you probably ordered many of them, but perhaps you didn't know about the rules of when to drink it. Slide. Or when you, sorry, Genevieve, slide. So when you think about spaghetti or lasagna or macaroni, but perhaps you didn't know that different shapes require different sauces. What about wine? Slide. You probably all know about Italian wine, but did you know about Italy's fast-growing craft beer industry? And then let's get to the next slide, which talks about pizza. 2 days ago, the world celebrated International Pizza Day. Maybe you had a pizza as well on Wednesday. Did you know that Canadians and Italians have similar consumption ratios for pizza? And we're not the biggest pizza eaters. 2 other countries are. And did you know how many variations of pizza there are, or how to eat pizzas, or or about one of the oldest form of pizza, which has a slightly different name? Slide, please. What about desserts? Tiramisu and gelato. But perhaps you didn't know how gelato is different from ice cream. And I know you will love tasting the gelato in Siena. Slide, please. Something else you may not know yet. According to a recently published survey, pizza is the most popular food in the world and the most photographed or Instagrammed. And till now, till 2022, when this survey was taken, it's the latest that I can find, there have been more than 64 million hashtags. And of 18 major markets surveyed, consumers in Italy are the most enthusiastic about their local produce. Italians love eating Italian food. There's a secret, and you'll find out the key to the secret with our course. So in the weeks that we'll spend exploring, and it will be exploring Italian foodways together, slide please, we're going to discover foods and wines from several of the regions of Italy, and you'll have a chance to do hands-on research to complement our classroom sessions. And if the classroom sessions are built into my course, you do not pay an extra fee. The fees that Genevieve was talking about before apply to outside this course. You'll get a chance to be able to understand better and to report on the fascinating history and sociocultural contexts of Italian food, because we're going to be looking at ingredients, at cookbooks, at who ate what, why, when, how. We're going to talk about kitchens and cuisine and identity and politics and anthropology and religion and food security and food fraud and the effects of COVID, and even about a recent pasta-shaped skirmish between the US and Italy. And of course, we're going to talk about wheat wars with Canada. Slide, please. We'll taste and test many foods. We'll make some of them and learn how they were or are served in our various field trips. And we're going to go to Florence, Perugia, and Bari, which is the city of street food. We're going to go to small towns in Umbria and Tuscany. And as a special treat, we plan to take a trip to the city voted the cultural capital of Europe in 2019, Matera, in southern Italy in the region of Basilicata. That's the arch of the boot. This was something students experienced for the first time in the summer before the pandemic and urged us to continue including it. The city, let me tell you, is almost magical. Look for it in the background of films like James Bond, No Time to Die, and in the Book of Clarence, which just opened last week. One more thing. This is not a tourist Italian cooking course, but it's a wonderful excursion into understanding and appreciating the culture of Italy and Italian foods, which are delicious and are a source of great, great pride for Italians. And by the time you return, you will walk with expert confidence through Italian restaurants and food stores and be able to ask for the Italian foods in the correct way. So come with me as we visit a coffee roaster, an award-winning baker, an organic pasta maker, a cheese producer, a winery, and I'm going to take up too much time if I include everybody. So you'll come away with an excellent knowledge of the role of food as a basic element of cultural exchange. You'll learn and experience why Italians are so proud of their food. And on top of it all, you'll be in Siena, which, as Genevieve said, is a UNESCO heritage site and is absolutely beautiful. So Anthropology 396Y conforms to the courses of NESI that have a very practical component. And we will do our best to accommodate many dietary restrictions. So I look forward to sitting with you over a delicious meal as the Tuscan sun sets over the Siena countryside, and we'll raise a glass and wish each other buon appetito. See you soon.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thank
Thank you.
you. So if anyone has any questions for our instructors as we go along, please feel free to put them into the Q&A, and our instructors can monitor that as well and answer them in the Q&A as we go. So next, I'd like to introduce Paolo Granata. He is the professor for BMS 312 YO, The Rise of the Modern Book in Renaissance Italy.
Hello, everyone. I'm wearing the official T-shirt of this BMS 312, and you see the motto Festina Lente, hurry up slowly, which is the Latin motto adopted by Aldus Manutius, the inventor of the modern book in the Renaissance age. He invented many typographical devices that really made the book as we know it. Just one example, the semicolon. He invented the actual punctuation and semicolon that now we know in many books. I'm the head of the book and media studies, so this course is an opportunity to dive into the experiential learning of book history and the Renaissance book culture, focusing on Aldus Manutius as the Steve Jobs of the Renaissance times, where Venice was the Silicon Valley, where innovators, inventors of all kinds were able to shape that typographical world as we know it today. And last year, I've been teaching this course for the first time ever. This year, I'm gonna teach it for the second time. And it was one of the most beautiful teaching experiences of my entire life. That's why I'm so excited to teach it again, to welcome you all students in this journey into the history of the book, the typographical design, with a lot of opportunities for hands-on experiences. In fact, there are many field trips to really experience the entire history of the book. And so we will be visiting the several libraries, from the Vatican libraries, in Rome, the Malatestiana library in Cesena, the Gambalunga library in Rimini. So many libraries where you can see actually the entire life cycle of the book. There will be some workshops to foster hands-on experiences, such as paper making. Believe it or not, you will learn how to make paper according to the medieval Fabriano recipe. And then another workshop on calligraphy, and so to understand the anatomy of script, and then the letterpress and types. And then other workshops on printmaking, on letterpress, typography, book binding, book restoration. So the idea is to undertake all those field trips for an experiential learning opportunities, following the footsteps of Aldus Manutius. Aldus was born near Rome, and so we will be visiting the Aldus Manutius city where he was born, and then moving all throughout Italy until Venice. Venice will be the final destination of this journey. It's a very busy touristic destination, Venice in Italy. However, we will be visiting the house of Aldus Manutius to celebrate this intellectual journey. There are many readings in this class, so it's a course on book history. So that's why reading is an important thing for this course. But again, readings will be complemented with hands-on and experiential learning opportunities. There are some group activities, by groups, students will be able to dive and explore some particular aspects for a final presentation. Even in Siena, when we will be in Siena, we will be working in collaboration with the Intronati Library in Siena. that will provide us with opportunities for workshops, for diving into the bibliographic world of the Renaissance book. And so get ready for with the running shoes, because festina lente. So hurry up slowly. So we will visit many places, about 24 different cultural places. So running shoes are important because we will be visiting all these places, and also a big love for books, a big love for culture, a big love for the typographical design that made the entire print culture. So we will be really enjoying the very cradle, the very origins of the Italian Renaissance print culture. I will be your guide, and you will get the official T-shirt. So the T-shirt is worth the entire field trip, the entire course, and so you will be part of the Festina Lente secret society that my students created to celebrate the enthusiasm and the love for book history in the Italian Renaissance print culture. So I look forward to seeing you all in Siena and travel all throughout Italy to enjoy the beautiful world of books. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paolo. So next, we're going to welcome Professor Akwasi Owusu-Bempah, who is the instructor for the criminology course, Current Issues in International Criminology.
Genevieve, I think I've changed my mind. I'd like to go to Italy and eat with Anne and read with Paolo. And no, all kidding aside, I will be instructing the International Issues in Criminology course in Siena. This will be my first time. I'm very excited. I'm sure many, if not most of you who are studying in criminology have studied with Professor Scott Wortley before. He has taught this course in Siena multiple times now, and as someone who works very closely with him, I would often be on the phone or on Zoom with him collaborating on research while he was enjoying a Tuscan summer while I was here back in Toronto. I'm looking forward to stepping into his shoes, filling those shoes, and delivering what I am sure is going to be an insightful and exciting course. So criminology is, by its very nature, as crime and criminal justice are often international issues. Crime is often not confined to national borders. Criminology as a discipline is one that draws upon the insights, the expertise, and the findings from different areas. And this is part of what we will do in this course. Of course, we will be doing that in the birthplace of modern criminology. When we think about some of the towering figures in the discipline, Cesare Beccaria, Cesare Lombroso, these, of course, are Italian people. And so the overview of what we will cover in terms of material is available, but in essence, we will be looking at cross-national patterns in crime and violence, which we are, seeing omnipresent, many of those connected to other forms of criminality in terms of our drug trafficking trade, as well as the trafficking of human beings, for example. Being in Italy, we will look at the mafia and its role in the growth and proliferation of international crime networks. We will look at issues related to immigration and crime, hate crime, street gangs, and corporate crime within an international context. So I'm very much looking forward to engaging in this subject matter with the students. Again, being in Italy, I feel is going to be particularly meaningful given the country's history, or the role of the country in the history of the discipline of criminology. Now, of course, the experiential aspect of the program is key. And again, in the home or one of the birthplaces of criminology, we'll have the opportunity to explore, to see, to visit, and in some senses to taste, and perhaps to eat. In terms of field trips, we will, thankfully we have Nini on the ground there with his great connections that he and I have now talked about at length with the Siena Police Department, for example. So we'll be able to visit headquarters and their forensics unit, their immigration processing center. One of the highlights, I understand, is a tour and dinner at the Volterra Maximum Security Prison, where we will have the opportunity to be serenaded and served by inmates of the facility, many of whom are serving quite quite long sentences, and I've been, told about the quality of the cuisine. And Anne, perhaps I'll look to you for your nod of approval in terms of what the prison has to offer. But of course, we will get a sense of what a correctional institution looks like outside of the Canadian context, while seeing how very different one can be. We will tour Rome, the Vatican, Tuscan wineries to understand the relationship between alcohol, drugs, and criminality. I'm hoping no one will establish that connection, but we will talk about it. And then, of course, we will also take a field trip to Florence too. So again, this is my first time teaching the class. I've worked a lot with Professor Wortley. And again, I've have a secondhand experience of this course through him, and I look forward to delivering it for the first time with a group of you in Siena. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Next, we have Professor Michael Lettieri. He is the instructor for ITA 358 or 359, Modern Italian Culture.
Thank you, Genevieve. ITA 358, 359 will take you on a journey from the days of ancient Rome to the present. And through this journey, our classes, of course, living in Siena. Siena is perhaps the most eminent, the most important medieval city in the world, with one of the most beautiful and greatest medieval squares in Europe, Piazza del Campo. So through this journey, our classes, of course, living in Siena, walking through numerous cities and towns, visiting together museums and churches, even Tuscan vineyards, dining in some of Italy's best restaurants, enjoying even a cafe or a croissant in an Italian bar. Some of our classes will in fact be held in an Italian cafe, and as we will discuss Italian culture and learning about Italian culture, we will be served a cappuccino, an espresso, a croissant as we learn. So through this journey, you will learn that Italians have been instrumental in the development of modern Western civilization in multiple fields. Law, for example, government, all forms of art, science, technology, fashion, cuisine, and much more. Class trips, we will have a number of class trips, and these class trips will take you to Rome, the Eternal City. We will be spending about 2 days in Rome. We will be overnighting in Rome, and we will also visit Florence. Florence, as you may know, one of the most beautiful cities in Europe, often named as the birthplace, as the center of the Renaissance, and renowned for its historic contribution to Italian culture, fashion, and architecture. We will also visit San Gimignano. San Gimignano is also a wonderful town in Tuscany. It is known for its unforgettable skyline. It is known as the Manhattan of the Middle Ages, and it is also famous according to me and to many other gelato lovers like me. It is famous for its Gelateria Dondoli, the award-winning artisan gelato parlor owned by master gelato maker Sergio Dondoli. Our class trips will take us also to Pienza. Pienza, for its architecture, is really considered a Renaissance jewel, and it is also famous for its pecorino cheese. And this is not all. We will also visit other Italian cities and towns such as Montepulciano, Assisi, Monteriggioni, Perugia, and other cities of Italy. Now, the cultural insights offered in our course will give you a better understanding and deeper appreciation of Italian life and culture. This course will take you through a journey of historical and cultural discovery of a nation which geographically may not be very imposing. In fact, Ontario is about 3 times the size of Italy. So this country may not be geographically very imposing, but historically and culturally is without any doubt a giant. This course will take you through a journey of historical and cultural discovery that I'm certain you will never forget. It too, like the other courses, will allow you to experience another place in another culture firsthand. It will allow you to engage actively in activities that offer authentic and hands-on contact with the object of study. It will put things into perspective for you. It will encourage you to have a personal encounter with Italy and Italian culture. This course too will make you see how things are instead of imagining how they may be. A student who studied in this program, I think, put it well. And let me quote from this student. Studying in Italy, the student said, allowing me to jump right into Italian life made me appreciate and understand Italian culture even more, because for the first time, I wasn't just told about Italy from teachers or from a text, as we perhaps can only do when we teach any of these courses on our campus. The student added and concluded by saying, I wasn't just told about Italy from teachers or from a text, I was living it firsthand. And this is what this experience is all about. And I also look forward to seeing you in Siena, seeing you all in Siena, and to share a slice of pizza, a cappuccino, an espresso, a croissant, as we admire what is around us in Piazza del Campo. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at any time. And again, I look forward to seeing you all in Siena.
Thank you so much. Sounds wonderful. And our final course that we'll talk about today is Studies Abroad in Modern and Contemporary Art and Architecture with Professor Elizabeth Legg.
Hello. The first thing I do have to clarify is my surname, which is commonly understood to be Italian in Italy, is especially funny because my parents were lawyers and legge means law. But in fact, if it's Italian, it was the Romans in Britain. That's one theory of the origin of the name. So don't get your hopes up on that front. Nevertheless, I have taught this Siena art history course a number of times with these wonderful colleagues, some of whom have spoken today. I think a common situation is we all wish we could take one another's courses instead of teaching our own. If you could go show this slide and then the next one. I just wanted to tell you that, get it out of the way, even though what I talk about is really the development of modernism in the 20th century in Italy, and not medieval or ancient or Renaissance art, which is the more usual art historians approach. I did want you to know that you cannot escape antiquity. We'll come across it many times in the museums and places we visit. But I also wanted to assure you that you will see the beauty that is the Italian countryside. Even this picture I took during a drought. You cannot make the environment ugly. Okay, can we go to the next one? This is a scene in Venice. One year I was there with this cryptic sign on a bridge: art is everywhere, but not in everything. I'm still trying to work that out. I can't tell whether it's really meaningful or whether it doesn't mean anything. But I put it here because one of the places we go is Venice, where there are fantastic contemporary art collections, contemporary and historical modern art collections, the Guggenheim collection, the collection in the Punta della Dogana, where different vastly rich art collectors have installed their collections. One of the joys of seeing modern and contemporary art in those contexts is that you are, for example, in Venice, you have the experience of ancient buildings and monuments and cutting edge contemporary art and design. And the reason this course was set up 15 years ago was because I talked to a chair of our department and said, you know, Italy is cutting edge modern design and architecture. And he said, do it, Liz. So this is the upshot. Could I have the next slide? Yes, this is an example of the kind of thing you bump into in Italy. This is a Jeff Koons balloon dog superintending the Grand Canal. That was such a memorable encounter for me that I ended up writing an article about the Jeff Koons balloon dog. Again, this is outside the Palazzo Grassi, which is a fabulous palazzo on the Grand Canal, filled with a really impressive modern art collection. Can I go to the next one? Here we are also in Venice. On the right, a group dinner at a pizzeria floating, overlooking the water, and a scene from where we were sitting. It's a great place to sit and have pizza. And I have to tell you, even indifferent pizza is great when you're in that location. What my course does, we go through various Tuscan hill towns. Siena has had a program, the province of Siena, of commissioning modern art installations in these incomparably beautiful old towns. On the right is one of the towers of San Gimignano that has been mentioned, one of the high rises. And at the very, very top, you can see a little figure. That figure was like the one on the left, which we bumped into on another field trip, dotted around Siena by a famous contemporary British artist, Anthony Gormley. Next. This is a medieval well in Poggibonsi, another one of the towns we visit. The well itself is beautiful and beautiful to access through the countryside. The well, however, contains not one but two mysteries to be revealed should you come on the trip. I rather hate talking about it because I'd have to tell you what you'd see, and I don't want to tell you. I want you to come and see it. Could I have the next one? Another really amazing opportunity is one of the world's greatest collections of in situ contemporary art installations in Tuscany near Pistoia. The curator of the collection, it's a private collection, has allowed my classes to go through, to be guided through. It's a 3-hour walk through olive groves, forests, spectacular countryside, dotted with major art installations. This one, by the way, provokes you to go underground. And again, I won't tell you what you encounter underground. It's not scary, but rather magical. Could I have the next one? More views at the Gori collection. There's a bamboo woods that you have to walk through to get to one of the installations. Just 2 shots of the kinds of art that is dotted through this extraordinary collection. Next. In Rome, we do see, again, inevitably, masterpieces of antiquity. This is the Arapachus, 1st century AD, constructed great Augustan propaganda about the peace and good order and wealth that will result from Rome. It's a very, very beautiful, impressive object, but it's on the tour because it's was originally housed in one of the it's a major installation of fascist modernism. Mussolini had it assembled and installed in a particular building as a propaganda message for his own Italian fascism as a reincarnation of the Roman Empire. Controversially, perhaps, the building was demolished and replaced about, I think, 13 years ago by a Richard Meyer building, which is itself controversial. So there is always a context for the antique things we see. We walk from the Arapachus in Rome up to Piazza del Popolo. We stop in a church to see some magical and important paintings, historical paintings that were important for Italian modernism, for the futurists. But again, I won't tell you what they are now. Then we walk up through the Borghese Gardens, go through the spectacular Museum of Modern Art, and then on to the Villa Borghese, which has one of the world's great collections of Renaissance and Baroque art. So there is always this combination of the framework, which is Italian antiquity, Renaissance, Baroque, and so on, and the modern. And the towns of Siena are important sites too for contemporary and modern art, and getting there really is half the fun. Thanks. Ah, sorry, how could I forget Eur? This is the last thing in Rome. It's a really masterpiece of Italian fascist modernism. This is popularly known as the Square Colosseum. It's one of the most remarkable sites that we'll walk through, but I chose this image because it shows the allusions to antiquity. These are modern versions of antiquity, and a certain vision of modernism that shaped the Italian architectural scene for how many years was it? Just over 20 years of Mussolini's vision. I think that's all I have. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of our instructors for speaking today. The copies of the course outlines are available on the website, so have a look at those for more detail, and feel free to reach out directly to the instructors or to Summer Abroad if you have any academic questions. So moving on, I'd like to introduce our on-site coordinator, Vincenzo Di Pietro, or Nini. Nini, if you would like to say a few words about your role in the program.
Yeah, sure. As you can hear from my accent, I'm from Italy, and I have been the coordinator of this program. This year will be my 20th year that I'm doing this. So I'm still surviving to all the students that went through the program. Anyway, so my role is very simple. In the past, I used to say I used to be your your older brother, but now since that age passed for everybody, now I'm like your uncle in the program, in the sense that I'm there. If you have any problem, I will be there to help you to solve it. Hopefully not that you don't have any problem. And if there is anything, any issue that is important, I will be there, with my team, the other on-site assistants, that we will help all the students if they have any kind of issues, Oh, sorry. And so my rule is basically that beside to coordinate all the activities, all the field trip for the University of Toronto on site in Italy, there to hopefully solve if there is any problem and give you all the help that you need to get more comfortable and to feel at home in Siena, even if you are far from home. So.
Wonderful. Now, if there are any questions specifically about the facilities or about on-site activities, please put them in the Q&A, and Nini will be here to answer any of those kinds of specific questions that you have as we go along.
Yeah, and just before we continue, just that Genevieve mentioned, if you have any question regarding Siena, the facility, the residents, or other thing related to your staying in Italy, just send an email to me or to the office, and I will be more than happy to answer at the best way, so you are you know exactly what you expect eventually from your participation to this program. Okay, Genevieve, you can continue.
Thank you so much. That's really helpful. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to continue and talk a little bit about costs, how to apply financial aid. So to talk about costs, this is just a screenshot of our website. So you'll find the detailed cost charts here. When you're in the Italy program, you will find two different charts, one for domestic students and one for international students. I'll just say a couple of things about how the cost charts are laid out. So some of the fees are paid directly to Summer Abroad. Some are paid to U of T. And then there's another section on the cost chart, which is additional costs. So these are things that are variable expenses. So the fees that are paid to Summer Abroad are the application fee, the course fee, your field trip fees, and your accommodation costs. And then when we add the course on Acorn for you, you would pay your U of T incidental fees for the summer. Those are paid on Acorn. And these additional costs down here are variable. So they include airfare. So as we mentioned, we don't book the flight. You would book it on your own. But this is an estimate based on the cost at the time of our recommended flight. Meals, once again, that's an estimate. If you feel like you're going to be going out a lot more, you may want to budget a little bit more for yourself. As well as things like local transportation, miscellaneous expenses, or additional insurance if you need to purchase that. So the cost at the bottom here is a total approximate cost of the program, which for domestic students is between $8,700 to about $9,500. And the reason why there's that wide range is the field trip fees. Some of them have different costs as well. As well, domestic non-Ontario residents pay an additional $36. And then the international fees, the cost chart is basically the same. The only difference is the course fee. So your total approximate fees will be between $10,600 and about $9,800. So that gives you an idea of the costs. Please feel free to go to our website and look at it a little bit more closely. So in terms of financial aid for Summer Abroad, so there is financial aid that you can apply for through the Summer Abroad office, which you do through your Summer Abroad application. So for our financial aid that is based on financial need, it is all done through the one application. So it's very streamlined. You would apply for that at the same time as you're applying for the program. The award amounts will vary based on your demonstrated financial need. And the award is actually applied towards your Summer Abroad fees. So if you are awarded funding, it gets deducted from the amount that you would ordinarily pay to Summer Abroad. One thing to highlight is we have a brand new award, the Summer Abroad Award for Inclusion, Diversity, and Excellence. There are details on that award on our website, but that also is applied for through our application system. You would need to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or protected person, a current university undergraduate student. You have to have completed at least 4 U of T credits by this previous December that just passed. So if you're in first year, you likely would not be eligible for the summer abroad funding. The minimum CGPA for awards from summer abroad is 2.25. Again, some awards may have a higher academic average required. And then you have to supply documented financial needs. So either an OSAP assessment, or if you're not on OSAP, you can still apply, but you would need to upload other financial documents. And we give you examples of what those would be in the application. There are also a limited number of merit-based awards for students applying to the programs. For these awards, you would apply for them after you have already submitted your application. So once you've submitted your application, you would go back in, search awards, and then apply for the merit-based awards. Again, these are variable amounts, and the merit-based ones are quite limited. They have the same criteria as the financial need-based awards, although some of them may require an even higher academic average. So just generally, we encourage you to start budgeting now. Final payments will be due on April 24th. And in addition to applying for awards through Summer Abroad, there are quite a few additional awards that you should definitely apply for, or at least start looking into. So I just did a screenshot here of this top tab from our website. This financial aid section is very, very useful. We give you links to other awards, such as the International Experience Award offered through CIE, as well as some of the college awards that are available. So check the financial aid tab on the website. There's also an information session posted there just about financing your summer abroad. So I would encourage you to watch that information session. It will give you a lot more detail about how to make the summer abroad a reality for you financially. It is eligible for OSAP. Usually it is the summer extension. One thing to keep in mind is that OSAP funds are not released until the program has actually started. Same thing with the CIE awards. So those can help you with your on-site expenses, but you would have to budget to make your final payments to Summer Abroad by April 24th. A couple other things to think of before you apply. So of course we are finally coming out of COVID-19, but it's still definitely with us. So please review the COVID-19 planning page and as you go through the travel checklist. And this is through the Safety Abroad office at U of T. You can find the link to that on the FAQ section of the Summer Abroad website. And definitely check the Government of Canada information. Review the information on prevention and risks of COVID as provided by the Government of Canada. A couple of notes about accessibility abroad. So if you do require accommodations, you should register with your campus's accessibility services office so that an accommodation plan can be put into place. So if you are registered with accessibility services at your campus, you would upload your letter of accommodation to the Summer Abroad site within 7 days after you've been admitted to Summer Abroad. And this is so that we can consider the range of accommodations that we have at this particular location. And we would be able to see what accommodations we can offer. We can't guarantee that all sites are able to offer the same accommodations that you may have available at U of T. So definitely reach out to us if you are registered with Accessibility Abroad or have any questions about accessibility. We have a dedicated program coordinator who will help you with any accessibility related issues that you have. We also have new on our website, a whole section on equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. We have a lot of resources and a lot of information there on our website, which is new this year. So we encourage you to check that out as you're researching your summer abroad and as you're thinking about how the experience will work for you. And as I mentioned, please feel free to reach out to our program coordinator for equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility, and she can guide you through the process and answer any questions you have. And you can always reach us through summer.abroad@utoronto.ca, and we would direct you to the appropriate staff person. So applications are now open, as you may know. The deadline is February 1st, 2024 at 5 p.m. Participants are selected based on a set of criteria. So it's not first come, first serve. So don't feel that you need to rush to get your application in now. We'd rather that you work on your application and make it the best application that you can make it. We do look at academic suitability. So we do look at your CGPA and of course prerequisites if applicable, but we pay a lot of attention also to the 5 personal statement questions. These are about adaptability, preparedness. We really want to make sure that the program is a good fit for you, that you have realistic expectations about it. So definitely, as you're filling out your application, make sure that you work on those personal statements as much as possible. There is a $205 application fee, which you pay after filling out the application. If you are not selected to the program, that would be refunded to you. If you're applying for another destination, so if you're applying for another country, let's say Italy and England, you would fill out 2 separate applications and you would pay 2 different application fees of $205. And again, the fee is only refunded if you're not selected for a particular program. So just to give you a look at the application portal, you log in through our website. It's all done through here. We don't need any supplementary documents. You can do it through our website. It looks like this. You're going to want to make sure that everything has a green check mark. That means that you've completed your application. Once you pay the application fee, then you'll go back to your application and click submit. So it's actually 2 steps. You pay your application fee. You'll get an email confirmation that the payment has gone through. And then you need to go back in, submit your application, and you'll get a second email confirmation that we've actually received your application. So in terms of the timeline, we will be releasing admission decisions by early to mid-March. If accepted, you'll have 1 week to confirm your participation by paying a $1,000 deposit. So the admission decisions are sent by email, so you will hear from us either way, whether you're admitted on a wait list or if you're not admitted to the program. And we give notifications at different times. So if you've applied to another program or if a friend of yours has already heard from us, we do them on a rolling basis. So we will do the Italy ones specifically in early to mid-March. If you are offered a spot, you would not be refunded the application fee. And as I mentioned earlier, the remaining fees are due on April 24th. Also due on April 24th are some post-acceptance steps. So once you're admitted, we will be asking for more information from you. We will be providing you with a lot more information all through the Summer Abroad portal. So all of those steps will be due on April 24th. And we will have a pre-departure orientation in June, as well as an online student guide. And this guide gives you access to U of T resources, as well as information about Siena specifically, things like what to bring, how ATMs work, all of those details that you need for your program. They'll be available to you in the online student guide just before the pre-departure orientation. So finally, we would love to hear a little bit more about the student experience. So I'm thrilled that we have our work study student, Tiana, with us today. Tiana, if you could share a little bit about your experience in the Siena program.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Tiana. I took part in the Italy Summer Abroad program this past summer. I took Criminology 389, Current Issues in International Criminology, and I had an amazing experience, and I would honestly recommend it to every U of T student. As we've already talked about a lot, it was in Siena, which is a smaller city just outside of Florence. Siena is a beautiful city to study and live in. There's tons of amazing food, and it also has a deep cultural history that you do really get to engage with while you're living there. As was previously mentioned, also the program takes place during the Palio, which is a horse race that happens twice a year in Siena and has been happening since the medieval times. It takes place in the main piazza, which is the main square in the middle of the city, and thousands of people go to watch. I had the privilege this past summer of being able to experience it, and it was amazing. It's a week of celebrations and parades, and the energy in the city is unmatched. The course content for criminology was super interesting. We talked about things like human trafficking, organized crime, and the factors that may lead to higher or lower crime rates in different regions. We also got the opportunity to visit different cities in Italy and learn about the history of crime there. We did a nighttime crime tour in Florence, for example, and kind of looked at different crimes that happened and different laws that were developed in response. And then also, I'm ahead in my degree now because it's a full year credit in the span of 4 weeks. So that was super beneficial in terms of taking away a little bit of the pressure for my course load during the year. And then also, I met some of my best friends through this program, and we went on so many weekend trips to other cities like Milan, Rome, Portofino, and more. There's tons of free time to explore during the program because classes are only 9 to 12 Monday to Friday, and a lot of these classes included field trips to other cities, so you have the opportunity to apply what you're learning in class. And I found this really helpful because through the field trips, we got to visit Florence, Rome, San Gimignano, and a bunch of other like surrounding areas. So you really got to experience Tuscany and different parts of Italy without necessarily having to plan other trips. So we had more time on the weekends to go to other places that we were interested in that we weren't going to for class. I have so many memories from the program, but some of my personal favorites were visiting and eating dinner at a prison in Italy called Volterra. It was part of our course content, and you actually are served by the people that are serving time there. So that was very interesting, and you get to talk to them. And it's a really unique experience, I think, that not a lot of people get to have. And then also eating at different restaurants for almost every single meal, going to the same cafe every morning to get my cappuccino and croissant. Um, and then also going to the different paleo events in the week before and after the paleo itself. It's really fun. There's these little contrada events. They have contrada dinners and contrada parties where everyone in that neighborhood gets together. And it's really fun to just be there and be in that energy. But yeah, I loved my time doing summer abroad, and I was able to see many different parts of Italy in both an academic and non-academic setting. I also got to experience Siena, and I picked up a little bit of Italian along the way. Most importantly, though, I brought back lifelong memories and a cultural experience that cannot be replaced. Thank you, and I hope you choose to apply to summer abroad this year.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tiana. That's wonderful. Wonderful to hear about your experience in the program. If you have any questions for Tiana or for the instructors or for our on-site coordinator, please feel free to put them into the Q&A. So we're pretty much wrapped up for the presentation today. Thank you to those of you who have stayed. I know it's a longish webinar. Just a couple more things to highlight. So we encourage you to follow us on Instagram. There's amazing content and photos from our students and from our social media ambassadors. So check out U of T Abroad on Instagram. And just to highlight a few other ways that you can get in touch with us. So you can always book an appointment with me through our website. You can reach out to me by email at italy.abroad@utoronto.ca. And one other thing to share is that next week we're having on Wednesday, January 24th, we're having an application blitz drop-in session. So if you have any questions about your application or about the program, please join us. It's next Wednesday from 1 to 3, and it's at Kruger Hall in Wordsworth College. So it's in person. So if you're on campus and you want to drop in between 1 and 3 next Wednesday, we're happy to help you or just chat about the programs with you. So let me just check the Q&A one more time. Okay, I think most of the Q&A has been answered.
Wendy,
yeah.
sorry, Genevieve and Wendy, I accidentally erased a question by Nicole Volkshowitzer. They asked, what are the amounts the program is able to give out? And I slipped on my keyboard here and canceled the question to me entirely. So sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, so the award amounts vary. It depends on your financial need. So it can be anything from you know, a few $100s up to a few $1,000s. It depends on your financial need. It depends on which awards you're eligible for. But you just need to fill out the one application, which tells us a little bit about yourself and about your financial need. And then the awards committee would then disperse awards based on that. So the amount is variable. So just a reminder that the recording will also be available on our website early next week. So you can share it with your family, with your friends, or you can review it if there's anything that you needed to go over. So thank you so much to our instructors for joining us and talking so enthusiastically about your wonderful courses. Thank you so much to Nini for coming to talk about your role as our on-site coordinator. Thank you, Tiana, for sharing your student experience. And also a huge thank you to Karen and Wendy, who've been answering all of the Q&A in the background. That is amazing. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day and good luck with your applications. Hopefully we'll see you in Italy. Thanks, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Hello,
Ciao, ciao,
bye.
ciao, ciao, ciao,
Ciao.
ciao.